Hello everybody, this is Haley from MightyMolds.com, and today we are going to compare the 6-inch MightyMolds taper candle mold to the standard single cavity taper candle mold. And here we have the single cavity mold. This is actually made out of polyurethane and not silicone. It is a 9-inch taper candle mold, and it is wicked here at the bottom through the single wick hole. Here we have the MightyMold. This is one of our 12 cavity molds. It makes a 6-inch taper candle, and it's made out of platinum pure silicone. Here are the tools we'll be using to wick the molds. You'll need 2 tools for the single cavity mold, a curved tip and a straight tip. The straight tip will push the wick into the wick hole, and the curved one will grab the wick loop and pull it through so you can set it with a wick bar. This is the only tool you'll need for MightyMolds. You can use any really thin flat tip to simply push the wick into the pre-cut wick slot on the interior. We're going to go ahead and wick the single cavity mold first. It's got a single wick hole here at the bottom, right there. And what we're going to have to do is take some of this wick and wrap it around the end of the flat tool, and we're going to have to create a loop like that so that the loop can then be grabbed on the interior of the mold by the curved end tool. This is basically how you do this, is you have to line up the wick with the tool and then just give yourself enough slack to where you have a really big loop that stretches a large part of the tool. And then we're going to go ahead and line it up with the hole and try to shove the bar in so that the loop goes with it. Okay, so we're going to have to try to get this done again. And we'll get the wick put back on the tool and tightened up again. And I probably just had the wick a little bit too loose on the tool the last time, and that's why it slipped off. You really have to hold the wicks tight on the bar while you're pushing it in. And I promise I'm not trying to make this look any more difficult than it is. This is just kind of a nitpicky process, getting these style molds wicked. But I promise I'm not trying to make it look hard. Alright, we're going to get it in this time. We got the bar in there with the wick. We held it tighter that time. The bar's not fully in though. We're going to keep pushing. Don't think it's in yet. No, see, it's not even in yet. Alright, so we'll keep pushing to try to keep the wick tight. We may have slipped off it. Yeah, I think we just slipped off the wick. Look inside there. Yeah, no wick came with the bar. So we're going to have to pull it back out and try it one more time. Alright, we're going to try one more time. Go really fast with it and try to get this wick in here. Oh, I think we got it. See in there? You just see the wick around the bar. It is through into the interior of the mold. We're just going to keep pushing, try to get a little bit more in there. Alright, success. We got our loop in. Now we'll take this tool out, and we'll grab our other tool. See in there, got our wick loop inside the mold. And this is where having a really big loop is really important. We're going to put our tool in here and try not to really scar up the sides of our mold. And we have to grab that loop with the curved end of our tool and then pull the wick up through the mold so that we have enough to get to the opening and then use a wick bar on it. We've got it looped. We've got our tool on the wick. Now we're going to go ahead and pull it through. And our single cavity taper candle mold is now wicked. And you actually just keep excess wick on the bottom end. And if you don't want to ever have to do that again, you keep a whole lot of wick on the bottom end. And you just pull candles through as you make them. Go ahead and put a bobby pin on this one as a wick bar. Keeps the wick tight. And then you can pull the excess back through the bottom and then center it just right. Just pull all the excess wick back through the mold and then center it, and this mold will be ready to use. And there we have it. The single cavity mold is ready to use. Alright, so we've got our single cavity mold ready to use, and I've got it standing here, but I'm a little nervous about how stable it is. I don't know if I want to pour molten wax into this and have it maybe tip over. I'm going to stand it back up and see if we can get it stable. Yeah, I think we need to fix this. Perfect. Now I feel a lot better about pouring wax into this mold. Let's go ahead and make a candle. We're going to use 100% beeswax for this candle. We've used some blue dye and some peach scent, and we're making our patented blue peach candles. Alright, and now we are going to wick our mighty mold. The first step in wicking any mighty mold is to remove the outer strap, and that will allow us to disassemble the mold and get to the interior. We'll peel away the first layer, and each mighty mold layer will only have one side that is set up for wicking. In this case it is the end cap. I don't know if you can actually see the slit that is cut into the cavity or not. But to wick it, all we'll do is grab a piece of pre-cut wick, lay it within the cavity, and then just push it into the slit with our tool. Just like so. You will want to make sure to get enough wick into the slit so the silicone has something to grip to, and then you will also want to center the wick at the bottom just like you would at the top. And we'll go ahead and wick a couple more cavities and show you that again, since we are already done. This time I will try to get my hand out of the way completely at the bottom, and that way you can just see exactly what happens when you push the wick into the slot. It may be a little bit more difficult for me than the first time. Yep, slipped right off there. I'll get it here in just a second. Alright, here we go. And that's literally all it is. That's all you need to do is push the wick into the slot. There's plenty of tension there to keep it in. And now we'll go ahead and wick one more cavity and show you one more time, and then we'll pour some candles. Again, you just lay it in, line it up with your tool, and then push the wick straight into the silicone. And there you have it. Our mighty mold is wicked. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and close the mold up. It is just this easy to assemble. You line up the registrations and simply push it together. We'll replace our strap. The strap is very important because, one, it keeps the mold closed and prevents leakage, but it also prevents flashing on the interior. It keeps the seals nice and tight, and that way you won't get very much waste when you're pouring multiple candles. I'm going to take a moment to line up my logo here. Probably not something that you'll worry about whenever you're using the molds, but it's important to me. I want it to look nice. Now, after you have used these straps for an extended amount of time, they will actually begin to take on a little bit of the shape of the mold itself, and you'll notice that these straps will just fall into place really easy, and it won't take very long at all to get them nice and tight. And now we will go ahead and apply our wick bar so that we can secure and center the wicks at the top. The silicone at the bottom will grip the wick enough so that you can do this effectively, but you should try not to pull too hard because you can slip the wick out of the silicone. And there you have it. Our Mighty Mold is fully wicked. Alright, and now we're going to go ahead and start pouring our wax into the Mighty Mold. I'm going to speed this clip up a little bit. We had some problems with the zoom on our camera, and we'll go ahead and just move right on to the unmolding of both molds. Okay, first up is our single cavity mold. There are no cuts or slits in this mold, so demolding it is sort of an art in and of itself. I'll go ahead and get rid of the bobby pin, which is our wick bar. And ideally with these style molds, you will wiggle the mold a little bit up and down the candle, and you will feel the mold release from the candle easily. If that is not the case, then you might have a little bit of a harder time getting it out, and you really won't know until you try. Sometimes these molds release super easy, and sometimes they don't, and that is candle making for you. I'm getting a little bit of tension on this one. I'm not getting just the really quick peel away that I was hoping for, but I am going to try to get this candle to come out. I do not want to make this look any more difficult than it is. That's not my goal. I think anybody who's used one of these molds before knows that I'm not trying to make this look difficult. These just aren't super easy molds to work with. And I'm getting a lot of tension on the mold itself and the candle. It does not feel like the candle wants to pull away from the mold. It feels like it's stuck in there pretty good. I'm trying not to twist the mold. I just want to wiggle it. I'm trying to create air in between the polyurethane and the candle. But it does not seem to be wanting to do it. I apologize for going off camera here. I'm trying to get a little more hands-on. If I have to, I will probably twist this mold. I will twist it back and forth, but that can usually cause some breakage, and it can usually cause some marring of the surface of the candle. Wax will end up rubbing in between the mold and the candle, and it'll make it look bad. So that's why I kind of don't want to do that. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get the molds out. I'm sorry, the candles. We're going to go ahead and twist this, and I'm feeling it coming away now. It's definitely separating from the mold. It's jiggling in there now a little bit, but I'm also scared that we may have broken the candle. So we'll go ahead and pop it out. and see what happened. One break and two breaks. Yeah, the tip came out clean, so it wasn't the tip that was holding us in there. It seems like it was more the body of the candle itself was trying to adhere to the polyurethane a little bit too much. So there we have it. We've unmolded our candle. It's our blue peach candle out of the single cavity polyurethane taper candle mold. And now we will go ahead and unmold the MightyMold. Peel the wicks out of the wick bar and remove that. We'll loosen our strap and get that off the mold so that we can open it up. And if we remember, we actually wicked this mold on the layer that is the end cap. So when we peel this cap away, the candles are going to come with it. So we will remember that and bring them with us. And now we've got access to the candles. We're done with that part of the mold. And it literally is as simple as pulling them right on out. This last candle is a good thing to note. Make sure you keep your wax warm, because when you're pouring multiple candles at a time like that, you can start to get air bubbles. But that is all it was. You open up the mold, you pull your candles out, trim the wicks down to the size you need them. And that was the difference between using a MightyMold and using a traditional single cavity polyurethane mold for taper candle making. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like more information, you can visit us at www.mightymolds.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Amazon.com.